Eleanor Roosevelt, wife of Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States, was the most beloved and influential First Lady in history. Born a Roosevelt in her own right in 1884, she was the niece of President Theodore Roosevelt and grew up immersed in politics. A painfully shy little girl, her parents died when she was young, and an aunt decided to send her to an English finishing school. There she developed confidence in herself and made her debut, aged 17. She married her fifth cousin, Franklin, in 1905. But Eleanor, who was unconventionally attractive, fretted that she would not be able to hold her handsome husband's interest. In 1918, those fears were realized when she discovered he was having an affair with her social secretary, Lucy Mercer. She was persuaded to give the marriage another chance after Franklin assured her he would break off the affair. However, when he died in 1945, Eleanor was devastated to discover he'd been with Mercer at the time. While the affair shattered Eleanor's trust in her marriage, it had the benefit of forcing her to re-evaluate her life and develop herself as a person rather than just a mother of 6 children or a wife. When Franklin contracted an illness in 1921 that paralyzed him from the waist down, Eleanor needed to draw even more on her great reserves of strength and self-reliance. Franklin's incapacitation meant Eleanor became a frequent stand-in for her husband at political events and began working for the Women's Trade Union League, the first of many social justice causes into which she poured her support. Franklin became governor of New York in 1928 and President of the United States in 1933. Eleanor used the platform of First Lady to further her progressive agenda. She broke with protocol to hold press conferences, present radio broadcasts, and write a daily syndicated newspaper column. Her charm and personality endeared her to everyone she met, from heads of state to lowly soldiers. During World War II, Eleanor traveled to Britain and the Pacific to show her support for the troops and boost morale. When Franklin died in 1945, she thought her life as a public figure had ended. The story is over, she told reporters, waiting to see her when she returned to New York after her husband's funeral. But she could not have been more wrong. A post-war career as an American representative to the United Nations saw her traveling the world once again as the first chairperson of the UN Human Rights Commission. Eleanor also formed a close relationship with President Harry Truman and was once touted as a potential vice presidential running mate. But she preferred to be involved in democratic politics from the back room and instead used her influence to promote the careers of politicians such as Adlai Stevenson. Of all the causes she supported, none had more impact than Eleanor's fight for racial equality. As First Lady, she lobbied the President to ban racial discrimination on federal government projects. She resigned from the Daughters of the American Revolution when they refused to allow black singer Marian Anderson to enter their auditorium. She only allowed female reporters to cover her press conferences, forcing some newspapers to hire their first ever women journalists if they wanted to cover the First Lady's activities. In her later years, Eleanor was sought after on the lecture circuit and remained an influential media personality. She published a multi-volume autobiography and continued to write her syndicated daily newspaper column until shortly before her death, aged 78 in 1962. Eleanor Roosevelt is remembered as one of the 20th century's most effective campaigners for social change. At her funeral, Adlai Stevenson said of her unceasing good works that she was someone who would rather light a candle than curse the darkness.